A burn injury is unlike any other injury because it devastates the person's physical, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual nature. It is totally destructive to the human person. And what the patients go through as they sustain these injuries, I mean, 1 second they're normal, and in the flash, their life has changed forever. And it's very hard to accept that. Obviously, it takes extraordinary strength to do that, which most people who've never been challenged, they don't have that. And so they're lost, and many of them want to quit because the future looks so bleak. Who would like me? Who would love me? Who would go out with me? How could I ever go swimming? And everybody's going to stare at me and look at me and ask dumb questions or say stupid things like, oh, gee, what happened to you? Or something like that. And they don't like to look at that. And it destroys their emotional self. I mean, their sense of dignity and personhood is gone. And a lot of people also think that fire and burning is the sign of God's damnation. And so they feel that the Lord is punishing them for something they did or something they should have done that they didn't do. And there's all sorts of doubt and guilt and remorse and self-loathing that comes through with that. You take people that are absolutely at the rock bottom of human existence, and you have to put them together. A burn injures a person from the outside in, and it's an incurable disease because the scars are forever. The trauma is forever. The memory of the fire or whatever was the incident, the electrical shock, whatever it was, that never goes away. But they can be healed. And there's a big difference between curing a disease and healing a patient. And it's all the more important in an incurable disease. And the way you heal someone is from the inside out, not from the outside in. It has to come like a flower. You can't make a flower grow by pulling on it. You have to expose it to the sunlight, nurture it, water it, give it some fertilizer, encourage it to grow, and let it come to life. And that's sort of what we had to do on the burn team. And I had to assemble a group of people who bought into this philosophy, that we treated our patients with compassion without pity, empathy without being emotional, and love without being sentimental. Which means relating to the inner person, encouraging them, forgiving them when they bite and kick and scream and holler and threaten and so forth. It's affirming them for all the good that they do in spite of all the bad that they do, all the difficult problems they present. And so they finally learn that they're worth something because they're treated with dignity. And as they're treated with dignity and they realize that in spite of their scars, there is a sense of dignity that is possible for them to achieve, they start to feel more lovable. And their demeanor changes. And their relationships with family and friends start to grow and mature. And we see this. We don't ever discharge a patient. I see patients on a regular basis that were burned 20, 30 years ago. We have support groups. We have survivors activities throughout the year where we call back people who are in the process of recovery, because the recovery goes on forever. And so we constantly affirm their growth, their presence, their new life. Many of our patients actually celebrate a rebirth day on the day they were burned. That's a wow. That is a wow. How could people go through hell and celebrate the day they were burned? Because what happened to them as a result of that has matured them, has told them who they are. They've discovered strength they never knew they had. They've been able to do things in their life they never dreamed of doing. I mean, we have people who are doctors and lawyers and counselors and PhDs and all kinds of things that had never even thought about going to college or going on to advanced degrees. when people come to life, it is a revelation of the power of the human spirit. And see, it all ties together. You reach out to the patient, and the patient comes back and reaffirms us so that we can go out to more patients, and they reaffirm each other. It's like a family, and it works, because if I were to I could bring in 20 or 30 people ranging in age from 15 to 70 who would tell you their story, and it would confirm exactly what I'm saying. Just ordinary people who are struck by an extraordinary trauma, who have risen above that destruction, that total destruction of their personhood, and have become vibrant, wonderful, living human beings who are completely happy, in spite of scars. They would shock you if you saw their scars, but if you talk to them, a tear would come to your eye, because you realize the power, the strength that those people have is unbelievable. So it's been a work of joy for me. It's not been an effort. I've enjoyed this. I mean, that's what I try to write in my book. My experiences, and
what's the title of your book?
The title is From Cinders to Butterflies. And the cinders meaning the burned patient, and the butterfly as an example of a rebirth, where the creature that is reborn is more beautiful than the creature that had to die and enter the tomb and emerge to become this new person. And so, another way of saying it, they go from being burned victims to burned survivors. They become butterflies. They become beautiful people, much more beautiful in many ways than they were before they were burned, except that physically they may not be. But the essence of a human being is not what they look like. It's what's inside. And when you discover who you are, the joy is unbelievable. That's what I tried to put in the book.